Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm Pete from MGB Roadster and today's video is all about this beautiful classic MGB Roadster. The MGB was produced from 1962 to 1980 and comes from an era where British cars were still known to be excellent sports cars, to be excellent luxury cars. Sadly, that died off as years went on. The MGB is a great example of what it was about British sports cars that made them so good. This particular example has just finished being restored, and as such, we've said it many times before in the channel, detailing is the final point to pull this all together. Now, it's very challenging to work in a classic car, but we'll get into that more so later in the video. For now though, it's all about the prep. Now, if you've seen the walk around, the car really wasn't that dirty. It has not been on the road since its restoration, and in all honesty, we probably could have got away without washing it. The reason we're going to wash it, I see lots of evidence of polish around this car. It's covered in all the little nooks and crannies, and I think it's filler polish further than that. The car from a distance has a lovely gloss to it, but up close you can see the limitations of the paintwork, and there really is huge room for improvement. So the whole purpose of this wash process is going to be to strip back any of those fillers that are hiding or detracting from us seeing the true finish of the paintwork. So it'll be a quick process, get the car dried, and then we really have to spend time assessing it. Let's get started.
I don't wanna break your little bubble, but you gotta wake up to reality. Cause I can see in your eyes, your head is full of dreams. Tears are a proof of failure. You just gotta let them flow without judge. There's so many ways to be happy. You can do whatever you like. You don't have to be ready. You just gotta trust the right. Don't have to be scary. You just gotta follow the light. You're able to be happy. You can do whatever you like. You don't have to be I see you hesitating while you're waiting, like somebody's gonna give it to you. You gotta chase it, gotta believe it. You gotta go get it for yourself. Cause I can see in your eyes, your head is full of dreams. Dreams are a proof of failure. You just gotta let them flow without judge. There's so many ways to be happy. You can do whatever you like. You don't have to be ready. You just gotta trust the right. Don't have to be scary. You just gotta follow the light. You're able to be happy. You can do whatever you like.
Whoa. It's safe to say that paint is, well, yeah, this is the joy and the challenge of doing a classic car. Classic cars are probably the most difficult thing for us to do as detailers, and that's because they are such an unknown. Unlike a modern mainstream vehicle that has been painted by robots in a manufacturing facility and they can replicate the same result over and over and over, and we can build on the experience of that one particular brand, that one particular make and model, and we know what we're getting into. With a classic car, you just throw that all out the window, and it's not even about assessing the vehicle in an entirety. We take the assessment stage by panel by panel by panel, and the risks involved with a classic car are absolutely huge. Now, I already know from looking around this, perfection is not going to be possible, it's not going to be safe. There's quite a few areas in the car that I can see burn through and strike through is at the very cusp of starting, so we have to avoid those areas altogether. You'll find that when a car has been painted in a body shop and it's been flattened back and then polished up, usually it's been polished with sort of heavy rotary wool pads, things like that. These are very, very aggressive. On a classic car with lots of intricate shapes and protruding panels, the panels aren't quite flush, there's a lot of places for a wool pad to catch, and well, that is going to lead to strike through. So I have to accept before I even start with this car that I will not get it perfect. The aim of the game here is going to be finish. The finish leaves a lot of room to be improved, and if we can knock a lot of those sanding marks and swirls and paint defects out, that's fantastic too. But we have to be realistic and we have to err on the side of caution. To that end, we're going to be facing two other challenges with this car. It is a single stage paintwork, and that means loads of colour transfer on the pad, pads get gummed up. When the pads get gummed up, they can then introduce their own paint defects in. So it's going to be a slow process of constantly cleaning out the pads, constantly changing over cloths, and basically taking it step by step, and we have to watch everything like a hawk. With this being a single stage car and also a flat colour, absolutely we're going to be looking at micromarring here. And we're also going to be looking at a variety of machine sizes. There's going to be loads of 1-inch work with this. 1 inch with little tiny microfiber pads, scaling right down to little tiny soft foam pads. We just have to take each individual area of a car at a time, and the process that we follow might change from one end to the other depending on just what each bit of that car needs. So we're going to focus on finish here whenever we cannot push for the ultimate level of correction and safety. I don't want to compromise striking through the paint and it having to be repainted again. So we're going to do what we can and get the car looking absolutely fantastic. Under natural light, this car is going to be jaw-dropping because of the finish. Under forced lighting like in here, well, there's some paint defects are just going to detract from it. That's the realism of a classic car, and that's part of the fun of doing them. This is going to be a tricky job, so bear with us while we get the experimental stages started, I guess. But that's pretty much what this whole car is going to be, just reassessing with every pass. So let's see how we get on and see if we can make much of a difference. So the paint correction and the initial paint correction stages are complete. That was every bit as challenging and difficult as what I thought it was going to be. And as I said, as a detailer, it's really hard. As much as you really want perfection, you have to just draw that line And we have to learn that no matter what a paint depth gauge tells you, you have to listen to all your years of experience, and what your gut's saying is what you know is safe, particularly when there's previous evidence of strike through on the car. I do not want to be the one held responsible for pushing that any further when I know what's safe and what isn't. That said, the car's still looking pretty, well, it's a night and day transformation. It really is like a different car than what was left off. But we did have lots of micro marring left behind, so this is where the refinement stage is going to come in. It's a repeat of the initial stage in that we might actually swap out pads and polishes, and we just have to take each panel as if we're doing a paint correction all over again. Some bits of the car marred worse than others. The challenge in shapes add to that. Also the limitations of the machines themselves. 1-inch machine with 1-inch pads really has a limitation versus what we can do with the 5-inch pads, for example. So it's about getting a balance between all of it in the greatest interest of getting the car looking its best. Refinement stages are probably going to take every bit as long as the initial cutting stages did. I thought 2 days would wrap this little car up, probably going to be 3 in all honesty, but I would rather take my time, do it properly, and make sure we have the best possible result for the customer. So let's get some refining done, and then the finishing stage of this car will be pretty simple.
It's been a while since we lay down to reflect upon it all. It's been a while since we stumbled out, since you dragged me out from the dark. Even now, when time has passed, I owe you all, 'cause I could not bring myself to try.
That is the refining stages complete on the little MG, and it was a challenge. It definitely took a long time to do, and as you'll see, the results are far from perfect. There's still paint defects in there, but in terms of what's safe to remove, that is as far as I was comfortable to push it without really compromising the integrity of the paintwork, particularly out towards edges and stuff. And you can see the paint was a little thin here and there. That is the nature of a classic car and something that's been restored. That's just what we can do. It's best to set a realistic expectation before you start with it. But I'm not taking away from the job. It's still a huge transformation, and the car, well, it really looks fantastic. The owner's going to be delighted. Time to get it cleaned up now, blow all of the dust off it, and then lay down some protection. No ceramics on this one. Ceramics on a single stage paint aren't a fantastic idea, to be honest. And also with classic cars, you tend to find the polishing and waxing in the garage at the weekends is part of the ownership experience with them. So we don't want to detract from that. It doesn't mean we can't lay something down that's still pretty decent. So we're going to go down with some Xeno ZD. It's a spray scene. It leaves a lovely glossy finish. It's a decent level of protection, but it's highly unlikely a car like this is really going to see wet weather anyway. But doesn't mean that we leave it unprotected. And then just clean up the glass, the chrome, give the interior a tidy up, and maybe the engine bay a little bit as well. And that is going to be this complete, and another job ticked off, another car transformed. I can't wait to see it finished. That's it complete. There's only one thing left to do, and that's show you guys it finished. Another one's wrapped up. That was a beautiful little car, and even if I couldn't get the correction to where ideally you would love it, it just goes to show what a massive difference can be made. I think the owner of that car is going to be quite shocked at just how different it looks. Just goes to show just restored can be taken to another level every time. Detailing is a worthwhile investment. If you put all that money into finishing a car, restoring it, getting it looking its best, detailing is just the cherry on top. So our next video, we're going to be doing what it's like behind the scenes, a week in the life of a detailer, and then also we're going to have this gorgeous shark blue Boxster Spider. I am really enjoying this car, and something a little different from our norm, which is removing a damaged ceramic coating and then reapplying it properly. So something a little different than what we've done before. We hope you'll watch it. If not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and follow us on our socials as well. As always, we'd love to hear your feedback, and thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you soon.